Okay, so I thought I'd go through digital marking for GCSE citizenship. So one thing we've been working on is I know teaching several hundred students of GCSE citizenship and having to mark loads of exam papers takes quite a long time. So I was trying to come up with a way in which I can do this quicker and perhaps be a bit more accurate, and also to make it paperless as well. Because one of the things I found as I was marking papers is, you go through the paper, you mark it, you compare it to the mark scheme, and then you're quickly trying to add up in your head and then tell the students what they got. And there's always going to be one or two where you haven't quite added it up right, and the student double checks it and says, "Sir, in actual fact, I think I got 34 and not 32." And then sometimes, you have made a genuine mistake and it is 34 instead of 32. Or sometimes the student have miscounted it themselves, and so then you've just spent time recounting it, realizing that you did do it right in the first place. So one of the things we've been looking at to solve that problem and save a bit of time is digital exam packages. So this one here is a digital exam paper. This is the main paper, and we've got an SEN version, and then we've got just the SEN essay versions, and we have a mark sheet. And I'll just go through all four, just in case you wanted to make a version yourself. This is using the Adobe suite package of resources. It saves as a PDF and therefore can be used, can be viewed with any PDF viewer like Google Chrome. Or you can just use Adobe, which is free to download, as we've got here, or you can use, I think on Mac it's called Preview, that opens up. And the great thing about PDFs is that they're pretty much readable on every device. Doesn't matter whether it's a laptop or an iPad or anything. So the students can add in their name, their class here, tells them about the exam paper, gives them a recap, this is for the AQA exam board, of what the actual real exams will be looking like. And then essentially the students can work their way through, typing in their answers into the blue boxes. So really easy for them to do, just like if they were just writing an essay or what have you. And it just does it there. And what's really great is, let's say, for example, some students write a lot. If they fill up the box, all it does is it will shrink the writing so it still see it. So as you're marking, you can just zoom in to take a closer look if they write quite a lot in one of the boxes there. When it comes to multiple choice papers, they can just click which answer they want, like so, and if they make a mistake, they can just change it. And then just zoom out a little bit there. And again, they just work their way through the paper here. The sources we've just popped at the back there, and they've got the essay. And so they don't need to print out anything, and they can fill it in, they can save it and then send it back to their teacher. If they wanted, they could as well, they could have a look at sort of self-mark some of their own ones. They could say, have I defined the key term? Have I got a conclusion? How many arguments for? Yes, I've done one. Yes, I've done two, or I've done 3+, and they can go away doing that as well. They could add their own feedback, or a teacher could add feedback in here if they wanted. So we've done that, and all you do is you take whatever exam paper that you've got, whether you make it in Word or PowerPoint or whatever you've used, you PDF it, you then open it up in Adobe, and then you draw editable boxes over the top, and then you can do some other fancy things like adding in ticks and crosses and automatic calculations, which I'll show you a little bit more of how we've done that. Ours come again with the same exam paper, but this time we've substituted the essays for more scaffolding and more structure to help those that are lower ability, those that are struggling, those that need a bit of a confidence booster. So we've done the same there, and again the source is just at the back, so they can refer to that for the source questions, which are in the middle here. And we've just given a bit of extra space here as well. We've also separated out the source questions just in case you wanted to give that. And what's nice about these PDFs as well is that you can delete a page and give a certain page out to students if you wanted. So for example, if you just wanted to set students some simple questions like that, you could just delete all the pages and just send them page 2, and then the students can just add their name in at the top here for the exam paper. I'll just pop mine in there. There we go. And what's nice is it already adds it in on the other pages where we've highlighted it. Then when it comes to the marking, this is going to be an absolute time saver. So as I go through, again, I can fill in the student's name, fill in their class, or when I teach them, so it might be Friday period 2. And then I can just go through and mark what they've got. And what I like about this is that For example, I might decide to do, if we're not in blended learning anymore and I've got all the students in class, we might decide to actually just do the exam paper, obviously printed, and then I can have the printed out paper beside me, and I can just literally mark by just pressing tab. They got 1 for that, tab, they got 2 for that, 1 for that. A couple there, they got 1 for that one, they got 1 for that one, they didn't get any for that. And as you can see at the top here, it's totaled the section up here for me, so I know that they've scored 9 in the first section here. Let's go through the next bit. So if I'm marking the paper, maybe they got 1 for that question, they got 1 for that, I'm giving them 2 for that, they got 4 for that, it's giving them 8 there. And then let's say for the essay, they got 4 for one and 4 for the other. Sometimes I like to highlight things as well. So I might say to them, look, next time, you could write about this. You might want to write about that as well. That the reason why I gave you 4, this is what I'd say that you've done. That's why it's earning 4. And again, it'll total it all up for you. So at the bottom here, I can see that the total score is 25 out of 40. That equates to a grade 5. They were 2 marks off getting the next grade 6, and I might fill in what their actual, I'll just come off the highlighter there. I might fill in what their actual target grade is. So it might be, for example, their target grade was a 6. When you go to print as well from these, which is nice, you can print with all the annotations or you can print without the annotations. Also, when I'm marking the essay, I might just for myself like to highlight things to work out where I think they are, just so I've got a good idea of what mark I want to give as well. So that's the kind of the answer sheets. And so, as I say, these are quite handy. What's nice on this one is it then transfers all of the points down to here, so the students can see they got 1 mark out of 2 for that, they got 0 out of 4 for that, and then they can just use these tick boxes to say why didn't they do that. So if I just take them all off here, it might be, for example, the reason they got 0 out of 4 on the multiple choices is they forgot to answer the question or they never understood it, they made a silly mistake, it's exam technique. That's why they lost marks. What's nice here is it also automatically converts a percentage for you. So if, for example, you're using percentages to work out what grade you'd like to give students, you can do it there. You can override the grades as well if you want, so you can just do that if you wanted to, or you could just not fill it in. And again, you can write an action point in down the bottom there. So it just gives them a little bit more of a way in which it's transferring everything across. You can add in a few tick boxes here, and again, you could make something like this yourself. Time for additional feedback, and again, it's copied the student's name across onto each of the pages. So if you decide that you only want to print out the first 2, you could just do that, or if you just wanted to print out the first one, it will do that. And then obviously you can then save that as a certain student's one, and then you could send it to print. So it just gives you a bit of a way to do it. So essentially you could set the exam paper digitally, they could fill it in digitally, you could send it back, send the answer sheet back, or as I will be using these, I will set the papers still physically and printed in a class, but I'll use these to do the totaling up, and that way it's going to save a lot of time on marking, so I'm not having to go back through and count up all the marks. Plus it's giving them detailed feedback, especially with the this one here, where I like to show students, these are the ones that you made silly mistakes on, therefore you might gain those marks next time, and next time you might get a different result and get a slightly higher result. So and the reason why I put the grade boundaries quite high is because they're only doing one topic and they've just studied that topic, therefore the knowledge should be really high. So I like to try and make sure that they're scoring percentage wise very high on an individual topic. I slightly lower the grade boundaries when it comes to doing like a mock exam where they're covering lots of different topics and I haven't just taught it. But to be honest, if I've literally just taught the topic, this should be fresh in their minds. So you could make these yourself, absolutely. Takes quite a lot of time and some mathematical coding and writing when you're in terms of doing all the adding, but the simple text boxes are quite easy to use. My big tip is that when you draw the boxes is to make sure that you name each box individually. Otherwise what will happen is if you were to type in something here and you didn't rename a box, you just copied it across using the Adobe suite, then it's just going to copy exactly the same answer there. So every single thing needs to work individually, unless you want it to copy across. Like with the name, that's quite handy. You can just duplicate the box and put it on every page and it'll automatically put whatever you type in there onto every page. So it's just being aware of those. Lots of YouTube tutorials and videos, but I just wanted to show one way in which you could use it, and this is what we are going to do. We're going to go through and do EDEXCEL, OCR and AQA, all of our paper-based exams we're going to re-release with digital. We're going to release digital versions in case anyone wants to purchase a whole package and save some time, or in case you'd just like to do it yourself. It's just another cool way of using the latest kind of technology to help us save time as teachers.